Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 205 of the RRBG podcast. This podcast is a proud member of the Podbelly Network. Go to podbelly.com and check out all the amazing shows we have on our network, including the Sofa King podcast, Robots for Eyes, Art and Jacob Do America. I mean, there's one for everything that you're into. If you're into Magic the Gathering, they got you. If you're into the occult, they got you. You're into serial killers, they got you. Everything. Go to podbelly.com, check out the list, and support the network. What's up, everyone? Last week, I showed you that Sheath Underwear is more than just a support system for your balls. It's more than just the most comfortable underwear in the world, but it's also a convenient thing. It has a pouch in the front that if you don't want to put your balls in it, you can just put a bunch of other things in it. For example, your TV remote, a can of water, cornbread, a bottle of hot sauce, a gun. The point is, Sheath Underwear is incredibly convenient, incredibly comfortable, and if you go to their website, sheathunderwear.com, you can use my promo code RRBG and save 20%. Support a veteran-owned company, support the podcast, and support yourself. Sheathunderwear.com. This episode is also brought to you by Killcliff. My friends over at Killcliff make the best energy drink you can buy in the market today. Clean energy, none of that crap that they put in Monster or any of those Red Bulls. No sugar, just clean power for all the grind you're going to have to put in today. And if you're not grinding today and you just want to relax, they also have CBD drinks to help you recover from any injuries you may have, any kind of inflammation. Maybe you went a little too hard at the gym. CBD drink will get you right back on track. Go to their website, killcliff.com. Check out all their different flavors. My personal favorite Ignite drink is the Cherry Limeade. And in the CBD category, you have to try the Joe Rogan Special. It's the Flaming Joe Pineapple with Jalapeno. It's not that spicy. You just get a little bit of a kick at the end. It's delicious. Go to killcliff.com and tell them that RRBG sent you. This podcast is also brought to you by Saints Joints. Go to saintsjoints.com and check out all the awesome products they have there, including the new Book of Saints that comes with 4 packs of pre-rolled joints. It's this incredible, lavish, luxurious-looking gold foil stash box. The works. It's the best-looking stash box I've seen. Make sure to go pick one up before they're all gone. And also check out the new hash-infused pre-rolls. Don't forget, it's saintsjoints.com, and make sure you tell them that we sent you. In this episode, I talked to Hamilton Jordan and Michael Sochynsky of Genghis Tron. They have a new record, Dream Weapon, coming out on Relapse Records on March 26. It's their first record in 13 years, so we talk a little bit about the hiatus that they took. We talk a bit about the introduction of new members and the new direction that the band has taken. We talked a little bit about their influences and music that they're listening to, and we shared a couple stories. I had a great time talking to them, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Please make sure to pick up the record. Follow them on social media at Genghis Tron. And please check out our Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/RRBG and support the podcast. Cheers. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the RRBG podcast. I am here with Hamilton Jordan and Michael Sochynsky. Did I say that right? Sochynsky?
Almost, yes. Sochynsky.
Sochynsky. And you guys are Genghis Tron. How are you this morning?
Doing well, thanks.
Yeah. Are you tired of doing the press cycle yet?
Honest answer, slightly yes. But you know, it's cool. It's a privilege that people want to talk to us about our music. So we're down with it, and it's pretty fun. These are much better than the written interviews. We're tired of like trading written answers to the same questions like 20 times, but conversations are more fun.
You should just copy paste them, man. Those email ones.
No comment.
Yeah, right. No. Yes, we make music. Yes, we were gone for 13 years. What happened with 13 years? That's a lengthy hiatus, and then deciding to come back during the middle of a pandemic. It's kind of interesting. What was that decision for you guys?
We went on hiatus just, it was in 2010. So it's been 13 years between albums, but 10 years. This hiatus itself was 10 years, and at that point, I mean, the short answer is we had just been doing Genghis Tron full time for a while, and it was always really important to us. But I was getting a little burned out on all the touring, and I kind of wanted a pause from that, and the other dudes did as well. And then what was first going to be a 3-month break or a 6-month break just kind of kept going. We knew we never wanted to break up the band, so that's why we called it a hiatus at the time, because we knew we'd bring it back someday. We just didn't know it was going to take 10 years. And we just were working on other stuff during that time, not music, but just life stuff, family, work. And it wasn't until 2018 that Michael and I realized that it was, I don't know, we were just ready. We had the inspiration again, and we had the time to make it happen. So when we started, we had no idea we'd be coming back in the middle of a pandemic, because we started the album in 2018.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you guys decided to come back in the worst possible time.
It's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Although it did impact how we recorded the record, because we had to record things a little bit differently because we couldn't all be in the same place. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I figured with the style of music you guys were doing before, it's changed a little bit, I'd say, with the new music. I got to hear the 2 new songs that you put out. But I figured with the older style, you guys were doing a lot of electronic drums, and I figured it'd be more like you could send files, it would be easy. But now with the new record, you got a drummer, a live drummer, so I would assume you wanted to be in the same room recording and everything.
Yeah, we definitely wanted that, but we couldn't have it because our drummer's in Canada, and so he actually had a plane ticket to come to Detroit, where I live. We all were going to hang out for a long weekend and start putting stuff together. This was like late March 2020 that this was supposed to happen, but things got pretty bad a couple weeks before that, so we canceled, and he ended up recording all of his drums at a studio up in Vancouver where he lives, and it ended up turning out awesome, but it was definitely an extra challenge to not be able to be there in the room with him. It just forced us to be a lot more methodical and deliberate about planning out every single aspect of every song well in advance, so there was kind of no question about what everyone would have to do tracking.
Now, why the decision to bring in a live drummer after a couple, I think 2 albums and an EP or a couple EPs of using a drum machine? That was kind of, not that it was your thing, but it was just kind of, it kind of separated you from a lot of the different heavier bands that were around at the time. Why bring in a live drummer now?
Well, for better or worse, I think it was kind of our thing back in the day with, having electronic drums, but it was bizarrely nothing that we had set out to do, at the beginning when forming the band. It was just like Hamilton and I were really into grindcore at the time, and we wanted to have super fast parts. We didn't know any super sick drummers who could play that, and we kind of wanted to just explore the project, at the time. So we just did what we knew how to do, which was to program the drums. And, back in the day, Hamilton was programming the live drums, and I was programming the more sort of electronic sounding drums. And that just sort of became part of our sound. But I think, during the hiatus, Hamilton and I talked, if we ever do this again, it would just be really fun and really cool to have a real drummer, just because we'd never really done that before. And, and then when it became clear that we were sort of taking our band in a new direction that was maybe less sort of focused on blast beats and things like that, the prospect of having a real drummer became even more attractive. So that was sort of what prompted the decision.
Okay. And the new drummer, Nick, I don't know how to say that last name. Yasishin?
Yeah, I think it's Yakishin.
Yakishin. Yeah.
Is he learning some of the older songs as well for potential, maybe possible tour if we ever have live music again?
We haven't really gotten into that. We wrote and recorded this whole album. Even before the pandemic, we were just thinking about, our goal was just writing and recording an awesome album. And we currently don't have any plans for shows, but hopefully it'll happen someday. So we haven't really discussed that much.
But he asked, is Nick going to learn old songs on drums?
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm saying
we haven't even gotten to new songs on drums, so we have to figure that out first, and then we'll think about if we're gonna. I mean, I don't know. We're just figuring it out. But if we did play a live show, we'd probably want to focus on the new material. But we play some old ones too, and I don't know. I'm sure Nick could learn how to play them if we asked him. But all in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is there any specific reason why you guys chose to bring in more clean singing and more like you've been mentioning it? The sound is different on the new record. Mm-hmm. It's almost like I would call it like a reboot of Genghis Tron. And what decision was it, or what was it that caused you to make the decision to kind of shift directions in terms of the sound of the band? Because there was a lot of screaming before, and I feel that any fans from the previous records are probably going to be a little thrown off when they go into more clean singing or a more kind of a droney sound to everything.
I wouldn't say it was much of like a specific decision. It was just like kind of a natural reflection of what we wanted to do, sort of where our tastes are right now. I mean, I still listen to tons of like crazy brutal music, but it didn't feel like that sort of vocal approach. I'll just say like I didn't feel like it would fit at all on top of the music that Michael and I were writing for the album. I think we definitely wanted to explore more like just having more space in the arrangements, sort of having a really good headphone album that you could just like get lost in, tons of layers and sort of warmer tones and I don't know, just sort of clarity. And I think that having tons of screaming on top of that would partially defeat the purpose. So I think that's part of the reason behind it, but it wasn't like we had like super.
We never made some sort of formal decision where we announced we hereby declare the end to screaming Genghis Tron.
Yeah, exactly.
I also think like maybe you mentioned it's going to surprise some of your old fans. I think that might be true. Like there's probably some people out there who are like, oh, no screaming, like this sucks. But I think there's also a lot of people who have much broader sort of musical interests and palettes and are open to not screaming music. And, just like we've evolved, I'm sure our fans have evolved their tastes over the last 15 years as well. So I'm really not too concerned about it.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, I was a fan. I mean, I am a fan. I was a fan. I am a fan of you guys. And the first time I heard the new track, I was thrown off completely. I was like, wait, this doesn't sound like Genghis Tron. And my initial reaction was to like kind of get angry. And then I sat there and I'm like, wait, let me start it over. And I put on headphones and I fell in love with it. It was just it took me a second, but it just took me back for a second,
I think that may be a common reaction because people have expectations. I mean, there are bands, and I'm not going to like name specific bands, but there are bands who kind of do the same thing on each album. And that's like, it's not a shtick, but it's just like what they do. It's like, I mean, I guess I will name a band. Like AC/DC is known for that. Like they've been writing the same record. I'm okay with dissing AC/DC on this interview. Like they've been writing the same record for 40 years, right? Like what it is. It's AC/DC. And then there are bands who evolve over time. And, those tend to be the more interesting bands where you don't necessarily know what you're going to get on each album. Maybe they'll have 1 foot on their last album and 1 foot going forward. And that's sort of what makes it interesting to follow bands where you're like, where are they going to go? Where are they going to go next? And so, we never set out to be one of those bands, but it just ended up happening that like our sound has sort of evolved over, and not just between the new album and Board Up the House, but, Board Up the House is different than the one that came before that and so on. So,
yeah. Like, and I don't even think it's a diss to AC/DC. It's just like that's just what they that's their approach, and it like works really well for them. But yeah, like each of our albums is like a reflection of where we are in time at that moment, like our influences at that time. And it would be pretty weird, I think, if like Michael and I were listening to the exact same kind of music now that we were listening to in like 2007 when we wrote Board Up the House. Like, we've changed and still like pretty much all the same stuff I did then, but I like a whole lot more other stuff too. And, just the influences are different.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there is a difference between even like the first EPs and the first album and then Board Up the House. I remember a while back, I was going to dance clubs frequently, not like house music or whatever, but just kind of like indie dance clubs or whatever. And I took the EP with me. And
awesome.
I gave it to the one of the DJs was a friend of mine. I'm like, hey, man, put on this song Rock Candy. And it starts off kind of like a dancey, what kind of band am I thinking of? Like, I would say like The Faint or something like that, or Hot Heat. Like, it's a dancey beat. Mm-hmm. And then it just breaks into this explosion of heavy guitars and everything. And I kind of tricked him into playing it in the club.
Nice. Good work.
He only heard the first few seconds. He's like, oh, yeah, man, I'll put this on. And he put it on, and then people were dancing for a minute. And then all of a sudden just, I'm like...
Nice.
Trolled everybody in the club that night with you guys, which is a lot of fun. So you guys have a new vocalist as well, Tony Wolski. What was why not like what happened there with if you guys want to talk about it? I don't know if there was any kind of personal beef, but if what was the reasoning between switching vocalists?
No, definitely no beef. We love Mookie. We're still friends with him. And, we were just, Hamilton and I were working on the album. As Hamilton mentioned at the beginning of this interview, things really started to click for us in 2018. We were writing material that we were both really stoked on. And it seemed like we were picking up momentum. And we were sharing those ideas and demos with Mookie. And he was into it and seemed stoked on it. But then as things sort of kept going, it kind of just at some point became clear that Mookie didn't have the time or maybe motivation to sort of dig in the way that Hamilton and I were to sort of make the commitment that was needed to finish the record and create something that we were really proud of. And at some point we were just like, we're going to reach out to Relapse and like actually do this. And he was like, you guys, I think I have to bow out and you guys should just go on without me. So that's what happened. And, we said, well, that sucks, but we're really excited about moving forward on this, and so we're going to go ahead and do it. And he said, that's cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear there was no beef or anything. That's, that's usually what happens when you see a new band member. People, there's an issue or something. So it's good to hear.
Yeah.
It was just, mutual understanding for that. You guys did this new album, Dream Weapon, again with Kurt Ballou of God City Music. You guys have been longtime fans of Converge and everything. You helped out with Wretched World. How was that experience like going back into the studio with him after so long? Like what kind of new toys did he have for you guys to play with while you were there?
He had a shitload of pedals. I don't know. He probably had those pedals back in the day too, but Hamilton can talk more about toys in terms of guitar stuff, but in some ways, Kurt was like, as you were mentioning, there were so many changes with the band, with new members and things like that, and, some evolution in our sound. So in some way, working with Kurt was like a constant, because we had recorded our last two albums with him. And, Kurt, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but, we had explored the idea of recording with someone else early on in the process. And, we looked around, but pretty quickly we were like, we know Kurt, he's awesome. He kind of knows us. He knows what we're going for.
Yeah,
it just felt natural to work with him again. And so, everything just fell into place that way. I don't know, Hamilton, did you want to add something?
No, everything you said, that's right. It was really good working with him again. I mean, he was a great engineer. We thought he was a killer engineer in 2005 when we recorded our first album with him, and again in 2007 when we redid Dead Mountain Mouth. And it's like he just had 13 more years of experience, and it was just, he's really great to work with. As far as toys, just like a shitload more pedals and like crazy amps that I'd never seen or heard before that sounded awesome. And I can't even remember all the stuff I used, but it was a lot.
Nice, man. Yeah, I mean, it goes to show a lot, at least for me personally. Like, I pay attention to who is, obviously I pay attention to Kurt's music and whatever he does. But with producers or people who are doing engineering an album, if they do good work in the past, I end up finding new bands because of what they're doing. And that's kind of how I discovered Genghis Tron. My guitar player at the time was a big Converge fan, and he brought it up to my attention. But the reason I listened was because Kurt had worked on it. Do you agree with that? Like, is there any other engineer, producer that, like you said, you were thinking about someone else? Like, do you find new bands through producers?
Sometimes.
That's a good question.
Yeah, sometimes. I guess I don't. I mean, yes and no. I can't really think of an example off the top of my head where that happened, but I'm sure I do pay attention to like who's recording.
Like if Arthur Rizek does like engineers an album, I'm curious to know what it is. He's a cool newer engineer producer. I don't know, like Jeff Barrow from Portishead. He doesn't record bands very often, so when he does, I'm like, oh, I wonder who is this? But yeah. I can't think of others.
I feel like that's like a nerdy thing for like one of my nerdiest things. Like usually people just listen to bands as they come or through Spotify Discover playlists or whatever it is. But I'm actually like actively looking for like, let's see what Kurt is doing or what he's working on, or let's see what Jamie King's working on. Because there's a few people. But so is there any other, like you said, you were talking or thinking about another engineer? No offense to Kurt, love the guy, but who was it that you were looking at?
It was more of a general, we didn't get far into talking with anyone. It was more just like throwing around ideas, thinking like who's recorded stuff in the last 10 years that we really like. There are lots of great people out there. We didn't get very far into it before making that decision of like, you know what, there have been enough changes. Kurt's awesome. Let's do this with Kurt. And it was good that we did. He also connected, in addition to recording the album, he definitely played like sort of a producer role in that he connected us with Nick, the drummer, and he introduced me to Tony, our singer, a couple years ago. Tony and I were just friends before we talked about making music together, but it's kind of cool because Kurt had that other influence and just sort of bringing us together with these people who ended up having such a huge impact on the album and like definitely having a massive imprint on how the record came out.
That's cool. Is there any plans to do, or I don't know if you already maybe did that while you were recording in the studio, but is there any plans to record some kind of live performance thing for all, everybody's doing live streams and putting stuff out since there's a lack of shows. Are you guys planning anything like that?
No plans at the moment.
No plans?
No plans at the moment, yeah. But
we vaguely talking about it, but we don't have our shit together enough to do that quite yet.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah,
just patience. We'll get the live show going eventually.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, you guys, even back in the day, the live shows were pretty intense, especially I wasn't expecting it to be so intense. Not having a drummer there. I saw you guys in an art gallery in like Tampa somewhere. I forget.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah, that was
rings
fun.
a bell.
Was it not a skate park in Tampa? I'm having trouble remembering an art gallery.
It was a small little art gallery. You guys were, I don't know if you were opening or closing, but there was another band that was wearing full body, like checkered outfits.
Yep. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I remember.
Yeah, that must have been a 2007 or 2008, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
7 sounds about right to me, I think. Around
That's
there.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I was living in Miami at the time, and I remember, it was my guitar player and I. We were big fans, so we were like, let's drive up to Tampa and go see them.
Awesome.
And like,
Oh, sick, man! Thank you. Thanks for making the drive. That's awesome.
Yeah,
For
for
some
sure.
reason, we never made it down to Miami. We never played.
Yeah,
in
that's
Miami.
right. That's like one of the only cities we never played.
Well, we would always play Tampa, and we played Orlando a bunch of times.
Yeah.
We once played a super sketchy venue in Jacksonville. I don't know if you remember that, Hamilton.
Oh shit! Yeah, I do.
Where stealing of the bathroom collapsed during our set or something.
Oh yeah. That was so fucked up.
Yeah, Miami doesn't get a lot of shows. Miami, it was kind of a dump for metal. It's such a drive, and the audience is very limited too, because Miami is more, dancey Spanish music. There is a good metal scene in Miami. I mean, I was part of it. My guitar player and I, we had that band To Sever. We were there for 10 years, and we started cultivating like a little scene. But, at the end of the day, I would never get mad. Like, all my friends like, damn it, they're not coming to Miami. I'm like, of course not. I wouldn't come here.
Yeah.
But, it's still not that bad of a drive if you really care about a band to go see them. It's 3-4 hours to Tampa. It's not that crazy. But at the end of the day, gas-wise and money-wise, it's not really worth it for a lot of bands to go down there. So.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys, since, the first few albums, you guys, some people call it like Nintendo-ish or 8-bit-ish. Do you guys have hobbies outside of music that, like video games or anything like that perhaps you can share?
No, it's funny. Like we get asked this sometime about like video game influence, and I think it's like if we have been influenced by that, it would be like a latent influence from childhood, because I pretty much stopped playing games. I loved video games, but I just I feel like I sort of chose to like put more time into music. When I started playing guitar seriously at 14, and didn't really play many games after that. But there still was a lot of time in my childhood where those 8-bit sounds probably had some sort of impact on my, on what I like, but not. It hasn't been like a recent or overt influence.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Michael's the same. I don't think he has much of a gaming background.
I mean, I basically the same as Hamilton. I haven't played, like, I used to be really into Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I'm really good at Mario, Super Mario Kart, F-Zero, NBA Jams. Those are probably my best games. But then after that, like, it just got too complicated and it got too fancy, and I just don't even. I remember one time trying to play at someone's house on tour, trying to play like Call of Duty or one of those games, and just like literally not knowing how to like move my character and being like this. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The Nintendo Core thing, I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess I understand. Maybe with our really early stuff, like Cloak of Love EP, there was more sort of that, like, whatever you want to call it, 8-bit kind of like
grainy sounds.
Yeah, grainy, digital kind of 80s. Chiptune type thing. Yeah. But I think we kind of moved away from that. And I don't really think our new album has that vibe at all. But yeah, so maybe there's a subtle influence, but nothing intentional.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I was saying, as far as hobbies go, it's music. Like when not writing music, like even during all those years when Michael and I weren't really working on much Genghis Tron, we still are like, we're both pretty like voracious consumers of music, listening to it, going to shows when we can, trading music with each other. So that's the big hobby, the obsession.
It's kind of weird. Like, I feel like in some of the interviews we've done for this record, people ask me like, what are your other influences? Like, what movies do you like? Or like, what movies influence your music? Or what visual art or books influence your music? And I never really have a very good answer prepared, because like, it's just all about the music for me. Like, it's just about the musical influences. And like, that's sort of, there's enough musical influence out there to occupy me forever that I don't need to really go beyond that to find inspiration, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I see a large collection of records behind you. Is that all of it, or is there like another room full of records?
No, that's it. It's not that crazy. It's just those and like a little bin of some others right there. So I don't have Michael has a more impressive collection.
Where are you at numbers wise, Michael? I'm worried.
I don't have that many records. I'd probably have just, I don't know. Well, if you put aside, I don't want to talk about it. I have a lot of bad dance music records from my youth.
You can't put those aside. Those count.
Yeah. Wait. I need to know, because I mean, bad dance records. I don't know if there's any.
Yeah, I used to be really into like what's called psytrance or psychedelic trance, Goa trance, which is this like subgenre of trance music that was really big in like the mid 90s, and I used to DJ in high school and stuff. So I have a lot of psytrance like vinyl records.
Okay.
That are just sitting around my basement, but I don't really listen to those anymore. But then I probably have, I don't know, a couple hundred other records, maybe like 300 or 400 records or something, maybe.
That's a lot of records, man.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe it's less. I honestly don't know.
I mean, I have about 300, and my wife just keeps telling me to stop buying records. But every time by the way, I tried to buy your record, and I ended up buying 3 copies
Thank you.
Holy shit.
Not on purpose, but I was doing it on my phone. I saw that a new variant had popped in. I was like, oh, let me buy that. And then I clicked it like 3 times, and I didn't realize. And I get 3 receipts. I'm like, shit. All right.
Oh, shit.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, I used to buy, like, before. I mean, now it's, now, like most people, I buy a lot of records on Discogs. But back in the day, I used to love going to like Amoeba Records in the Bay Area. Well, and the one in LA too. But like, there's that one on Telegraph and that one in the Haight. I mean, they just had so many records at used records at like such affordable prices. Like I remember just buying like old 80s industrial records for like $1.99 for an LP and just being like, this Severed Heads record looks cool. I'll just buy it. It's only like $2, or something like that. And then, so I collected a lot of records that way over the years.
Did you know that Amoeba in LA closed?
What?
I heard that and then I forgot because I wanted to erase that horrible fact from my mind. But yeah. Is it totally closed or are they going to come back after
they're coming back in a different location. That location is gone. They were in the works of, they were having issues with the lease in the past, like in the last couple of years, but this pandemic just kind of pushed them over. Like, all right, forget it. And actually, I'm living like 2 or 3 blocks from the new spot, which is completely built out already. They have all the records on display, but you can't go in. That doesn't make any sense to me because other record stores are open, but you could just stand in the window and stare and hold the glass like, please let me in. But yeah, at least it'll be, the name is still there, but I feel like that venue itself, like the spot had like a good, like a, in my heart, it had a place because there was a lot of live shows that happened there. And I'm hoping this new spot has a stage for live shows. But,
yeah, that'd be cool.
Going into this Dream Weapon, the 2 songs that are out kind of give you a taste of what the record would sound like, I would say. But is that what we should expect from the rest of the tracks? Is it kind of deviate in any kind of direction, or is it kind of all over the place?
I would say both, which is not a very good answer, but I would say the album as a whole is very cohesive and has a vibe, or at least we were trying to make it sound like a very sort of distinct atmosphere across the album. But at the same time, each song does definitely go in its own direction, and I would say that some of the songs that we have yet to put out, once the full record comes out, sound pretty different from the 2 that we put out so far. So that's kind of a vague answer, but
that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So maybe vague to others, but as someone who knows the album, I agree.
And I'm not sure when you're posting this interview or this podcast, but we're putting out a new single next week.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay.
Before the record. I guess the record comes out on March 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the 3rd single is what? Are we not supposed to talk about it? I don't even know. It's like, I think
this won't be out for a couple weeks, so you could talk about it if you want.
Oh yeah.
The song Tuesday, which is in the past now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Tuesday the 16th.
Do you know which song it is? I'm looking at the track list right now.
Yeah, it's called Pyrocene.
Pyrocene. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's the second track on the album. Yeah.
Yeah. Excited for people to hear that one.
Very cool. I'm excited to hear the rest of the record. I mean, I really enjoyed the first 2 songs. It took me a second, like I said. Immediately, I kind of was like, "Where's the screaming?" And the pandemic has me more aggressive than ever because I felt like before the pandemic, I was doing a lot of going to shows and letting out that frustration. But yesterday was actually a year to date of my last live show. So I felt this like building up of like, I feel bad for whoever is in a mosh pit with me at the first show back. I feel really bad, and I'm older and I don't mosh anymore as much as I used to, but still, I'm gonna need to grab somebody and throw them around for a bit.
Gloves are coming off this time.
Yeah. I'm gonna stage dive. Nice. I retired from stage diving 10 years ago, but I'm gonna do it. I don't care. I need if I'm vaccinated and everything's fine, I'm gonna make sure everybody gets to feel me in the crowd.
Yeah, I have not stage dove, to use the past tense, in quite some time, but I do have some fond memories of doing it in the past for sure.
Yeah, same.
What would you say? I want from each of you. two things: the 2020 album of the year for you, and what were you listening to, building into the Dream Weapon that you would say kind of not shaped but kind of influenced you towards that direction?
The second question is much easier to answer.
To see what I even listened to. So give me one sec.
Yeah, for real. I honestly don't remember. I can't even.
Neither of us can name a single album that came out last year, is what he's trying to say.
Which is crazy. I know I listened to new music from last year. I'm looking to on my.
See, I'll tell you mine. My 2020 album was the new Deftones record. I thought it was fantastic.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good album.
Damn, that one came out in 2019. So to be perfectly okay, I'm gonna go back onto Skype, so I'm actually looking at you guys. But
dude, I don't know.
We spent a lot. I don't know. Like, I spent a lot of. I don't want to speak for Hamilton, but I spent a lot of time just listening to old music.
Okay.
Going back and exploring old genres, and the 80s is an endless source of amazing music that is waiting to be discovered. And so
not a synth.
It's so hard to keep up with new music, like in any one genre, let alone like all music that is cool and interesting. So it's like, I don't know, it's just so hard to keep up that I almost just like tune out the new stuff and just listen to what I know. I mean, it's kind of a boring answer, but listen to what I know and just listen to the old school shit.
Well, can you give me a couple records from the 80s that are like your top spins that you were, really influenced by in the 80s?
Damn, such
pressure.
Yeah, I can jump on some of this. Yeah, it's easy for me to think of. So it's harder for me to think about 2020 albums. Although looking at my Spotify, I thought I don't know. I would know if I could say top album, but the new Aransi Pazuzu. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce the band's name, but that and I'm not even going to try to pronounce the album name, but that was on Nuclear Blast last year. That's a really good album. And Michael and I both recently kind of belatedly got into the new album by Nothing, The Great Dismal.
Oh yeah,
Lapse. That's a nice album.
That's really good.
But yeah, like Michael, most of, as far as like recent listening, spent a lot of my time the last many years like just rediscovering or discovering for the first time old stuff that I wasn't as familiar with. And for me, that was like 80s albums, King Crimson, Discipline. Listen to that a lot. The first 4 Peter Gabriel albums, but especially number 3 and number 4 of his self-titled. Those were definitely big influences. Tears for Fears.
Hamilton, you stole mine. I'm writing a list.
Yeah, I mean that's more Michael's. Michael, Tears for Fears. And like, I love Depeche Mode. Black Celebration. So we can name. Oh, Michael, you're like the '80s Ministry. Come on.
Yeah, Ministry Twitch is like one of the greatest albums of all time, and pretty much all '80s Ministry is like pure gold, I think. And Hamilton mentioned Tears for Fears. I feel like is like, even if you don't listen to '80s, whatever you want to call it, just sort of '80s synth pop or whatever, like their records are just so well written and they're so well produced, and they're just like I mean, not the third one, but Songs from the Big Chair and The Hurting are both like such good albums. So Tears for Fears all the way. And then another favorite, this is another like industrial favorite of mine, is the band My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, which are, I don't know if you know that band, but they had an album from, I guess it was like 1988 or 1989 called I See Good Spirits and I See Bad Spirits. And that's like, I was into that in like 7th grade, and like they were like my favorite band in middle school, or one of my favorite bands in middle school. So I always have a warm spot in my heart for them. And then I guess that might have been the last show I saw before the pandemic. I could be mistaken, but I think I saw them in early 2020. They had it was like a 30th anniversary show for one of their albums, and it was really fun to go see them. And everyone in the crowd was like over a certain age.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Fun.
That's a good list. I like that. You wouldn't expect that, coming from a heavier band, but that's pretty much what I grew up listening to as well. And I always dig into that. And I get shit from some of my friends about it because. Like,
we could talk about like Altars of Madness or something like that too. We could, we could talk about metal records from the 80s. I don't know. Hamilton's probably better in that department than I am.
Nah. The classics. I mean, I'll name things that everyone, like Ride the Lightning. I love that.
Yeah.
The obvious ones.
That's great, man. Last thing I had for you guys about Dream Weapon, the name itself, the lyrical content, was that something you guys were involved with? Was that all Tony? And what kind of a theme is it? Because I feel like a kind of an existential kind of psychedelic vibe from it. And, I don't know if that's you guys doing or if that was, Tony's lyrics or what.
It was a joint team effort, I would say, but maybe Hamilton can elaborate.
Yeah. We so Tony gets, before Tony was involved, before we had any lyrics, Michael and I had like a super loose concept for the album. And we, when Tony got involved, we sort of presented that to him and he ran with it. He was into it and he ended up writing the lyrics and really nailing it. So it was, it was a collaboration. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's some loose existential stuff, some psychedelic themes as well. You definitely, your understanding is accurate.
But props to Tony because he wrote all the lyrics and he wrote all the vocal parts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously we talked about it with him and we tried out different ideas and stuff, but that's all him.
Yeah.
Now, and was that like? You guys didn't set up a theme at all with him prior to him writing? He just went with whatever he heard and the vibe of it.
In terms of the music or the lyrics?
Lyrically.
Lyrically, we talked about some ideas about what we wanted the album to loosely be about, and he kind of ran with those ideas and made them his own and sort of put pen to paper.
Okay.
And then, go ahead.
Do you guys dabble in that? Like, do you guys think a lot about, the dream states and the psychedelic stuff and the existential stuff? I mean, I don't know if you guys are straight edge or if you've ever experimented with that side of the world.
Well, no comment.
No comment. Okay, all right. I'll leave that up to interpretation then, for sure.
Yeah, we'll leave the lyrics open to interpretation as well. But yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, cool, guys. Thank you very much for taking some time to talk to me today. The album Dream Weapon out March 26th on Relapse Records. Like you said, the third single will be out soon. Hopefully, yeah. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure if it'll be out by the time this comes out. It'll probably will be out by then. But make sure to check out Pyrocene. I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of it and getting my 3 records.
Yeah. Thanks for the accidental support on those second 2.
No problem. I'm hoping that maybe we can see some stuff live soon from you guys. I know you said you're kind of still in the planning stages of everything, but I'd like to see what live Genghis Tron is now in 2021, and even one of those, I'd like to see, even though you mentioned that you're moving away from some of the older tracks and focusing on the new album, it would be interesting to see someone play drums on one of those older songs, because I can't find that anywhere. Like, I've looked for people doing covers, even, and it's hard.
There is one.
There is?
Yeah, didn't Brad from the Red Chord play drums once? On that tour, we played Asleep on the Forest Floor with live bass
that's
and
right.
live drums.
I totally forgot about that.
Florida.
That was the Jacksonville show? Oh, man.
Not Jacksonville. Gainesville, sorry. Gainesville, Florida.
Gainesville, okay.
I completely forgot about that.
Huh.
But, I also would like to see it, because I forgot about the last time it happened.
But I'd be way more interested in seeing Nick play our old songs. And as soon as this call's over, I'm going to text him and ask him if he wants to do that so that we can.
Yeah. I've even, I'm not a drummer, but like I've sat around, I like to sit around and pretend I'm a drummer, do a lot of air drumming. And I tried to imagine what it would be like to perform one of those songs. And I mean, it would still require a sample machine, obviously, for some of the parts, but I think it's doable. You know, I've talked to some of the drummers, like Danny Walker is like one of my favorite like grind drummers, and even he was like, you know, I don't know if I could do it. I'm like, I think
you taught him about Genghis Tron.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a few songs where it's just, you know, silly, but I would say that's more the really old stuff. I think for Board Up the House, I mean, Hamilton, you could speak better to it.
Yeah.
And all those drums, but like, I think you tried to do it in a way that was what a real drummer could or would play. I think by that time we were past the point of like blasting at 280 beats per minute. It just doesn't sound like the sort of Blizzard approach doesn't. I mean, it's cool when done right, but I think we got tired of it pretty quickly. Yeah. But dude, thanks for having us, and just thanks for the support, and cool to hear that you drove from Miami to up to Tampa or Orlando back in the day, and hope to meet you someday.
Yeah, for sure, man. I hope so. Hopefully we get back to normal. We get some live shows, and I'll hit you guys up so we can hang out at the show.
Party on.
All right, man. Have a good day.
Thanks for having us. Take care.
Take care.
Take care.